We've been gone for a few weeks. We've had busy activities. I'm Consuelo Lara,
I'm Madeline Kronenberg.
and we'll brief you on where we've been, what we've been doing, and giving some shout outs. I was in Mexico, in Chiapas. Very interesting, fascinating state, and it was just amazing. And I wanted to give a shout out to my good friend Genoveva Calloway for letting me participate in this, and our other travel buddy Inda, and Jose Luis, who was our guide, and we just had a marvelous time. So that's where I was. How about you?
I was on the East Coast, and I went to New York to visit family, and ultimately went to Boston, to the Boston Marathon, where my daughter, where is she? There she is, Daniela, was in the Boston Marathon, and it was a very exciting thing to be part of, and to just be part of the history of the marathon, and to see all of the people from around the world who participated in it. And many of our family members were there. It was a great deal of fun. And then I went to Maine, where it was very, very cold. And I'm about to go on another trip to where it's very, very hot. But I'll talk about that when I get back from that in a couple of weeks. But it's been, but we've, however, followed what's been going on. So I've been back this week, and I got a chance to go to the board meeting. And we can get to that now.
Well, before we do that, though, we do have a couple of other things. Today, there's the first of many Todd Talks. And that's today at the practice space on San Pablo.
And that's former board member Todd Groves, who is a brilliant theoretical thinker, and he's going to be interviewing important and significant people in our community.
And the first one is Gonzalo Rocobo, and I just can't wait. I think it's going to be great. So hopefully he'll. There's a new channel emerging on all of this. And then another shout out is to my son, Carlos, who's writing a series of children's books about labor history, the history of unions, which is really well needed. And especially in our effort to get more and more ethnic studies established, and that's certainly a big component of it, the history of labor. So I'm really proud of that.
You should be really proud. I'm excited about that. I think that what we really have to do is change all of our history books, because the perspective is very skewed, and we know that now. So that it's social justice really requires that we don't just add ethnic studies, but we rethink how we teach what we've been teaching all these years. So the labor perspective is equally important. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so a lot of great things happening. So now, shall we get down to board business? The number one being, I tried to watch the meeting down there. The internet kept coming in and out, but again, the meeting went until 11:45 or something like that. And I just think that's just shameful. That shouldn't happen. And it happens for a lot of reasons. Management of the meetings, for one, is lacking. And, people are going to talk as much as you let them talk. And we need to I understand it's democracy. Everybody needs to be able to have their say. But you really need to have an much more effective meetings and time management within those meetings. And that comes from the leadership. So something has to happen with that. So
so we have to try some different things, I think. And the one thing about last week's meeting, which I did attend, was that there was an anticipation that it was going to take a while, but that the issues around the charter school renewal or material revision, would take time, as well as the conversation around the older adult program, so that the math presentation essentially got pulled and put over for another meeting. And so the good news was they didn't stay all night and then find out that they weren't going to be able to give it. They decided it right in the beginning. But you could say that you want to be able to figure that out when you put the agenda together.
You know, and the math issue is prominent in the roadmap.
Yep.
It's a high priority. It's academics. That's what we're supposed to be about. It should have priority over many, many other things. So, like I said, it's just shameful, so the process and how it plays out. And we've just got to focus this time and our priorities as we manage the meetings. So something's got to happen. Hopefully it will. We're gonna continue working on that.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
So hopefully we'll get there. So let's talk about the charter school. There's two in particular: the Richmond College Prep and the virtual charter that's coming up.
Bay Area Connections.
Bay Area Connections. What are your thoughts about those? Anyway?
Well, look, the thing about Richmond Charter Prep is that this is really adding a new high school to all the high schools that are already in Richmond. The only thing, and I will say this, the one question that was answered in the past was whether or not how many of their students, the students from RCP who come back from the charter sector into our public schools, and most of them don't already. So most of them try to stay in the charter school sector. So that, however, that doesn't mean we should broaden it for them, because what will happen is, I mean, there's no question, this is taking seats away from Richmond High, because this is one more high school in Richmond, from Richmond High and from Kennedy and from De Anza, from that community, the Richmond community. So that needs to, this is the kind of thing, this expansion is really what they're addressing in Sacramento with the new bills, and the fact that adding the seats, these seats will hurt, will have a negative financial impact on the district, and that shouldn't be just swept away and not discussed. And that's been the pattern.
And I don't know if the board, I wasn't there, but I don't know if the board members forgot that we just passed a moratorium, and those specific words were in there that we will consider financial impact for any charter expansion.
Mentioned that.
So we need to revisit that and remind some people what they voted for, and therefore we gave direction to our district, our staff. And I think they did a fine job I mean, that was an 11-page document.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very well put together. And to just negate that and go ahead and vote, well, we need to support that more. So
the California Connections will come up, and the vote on that. In the past, we had a virtual school that came up as well, and the interesting thing around that school is that its director explained that the real reason he was coming to our district, after having been rejected at several other districts in Contra Costa County, is that he needs to have, if he is able to find a way to be accepted in by a district in Contra Costa County, he will then be eligible to accept students from Solano County. This is not the purpose of a school board in West Contra Costa.
And that needs to be against the law.
Well, and that's in one of those bills,
Mm-hmm.
but right now it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So his request is not an illegal request,
Mm-hmm.
but it certainly doesn't follow what someone who's taken an oath of office to preserve this school district would be expected to do. Why would we oversee an organization that's serving people all over and who come and tell us the main reason I'm doing this is because there are children in Solano County who need to be served, and apparently he doesn't feel he's not eligible to go to Solano County because it's not contiguous to where he is now.
And he's gotten turned down, as you say,
By others.
So we need to be, very skeptical and aware of all of that. So hopefully, it's that one will as well. And we're voting on it.
You're going to vote on it. I'm not going to be at that meeting, but yeah, you're going to vote on that.
Okay. So again, our constituents need to make themselves heard about how you feel about this, and our board needs to listen as well and think of the students who are the most needy, who are suffering from, who are really the victims. When we send millions of dollars, and I can say give away millions of dollars to the charters, the victims are most needy, are low performing, are homeless, special ed, foster kids. Those are the kids that are suffering from.
Yeah. There's no question about that, right?
Yes,
that is
absolutely.
exactly what happens. So, and that is why the charter bills are up there. There is really a war going on in Sacramento right now between the charter sector and the public school sector, right? The traditional public school sector, and it is being waged legislator by legislator. So we can only ask that you contact your legislators and contact your relatives who live in other districts with other legislators and ask them to support the charter school bills, right? That will make the difference and allow California to not keep hemorrhaging district resources. And considering we have so little to begin with on privately run organizations.
Exactly. And let the board know how you feel for the May 8th vote, because that's going to be very important. Let us know. Well, I can't think of anything else. What do you think?
That is it for today. And we're also not going to be back next Friday because I will be gone, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll be able to report on what exactly happened and the progress around the legislation.
Yes.
Right. So May is a really important month as we all move forward in what's happening in the legislative world. And the one thing I will edit, the other hat I wear, besides my teacher hat, is with the League of Women Voters. And I will just say this, this is where there was a crossover. The League of Women Voters is now contemplating a resolution around charter schools. And it comes from the League in Fresno. So I think this is a very exciting thing. I'm actually going to put a link to to their review and their study in Fresno here, so that people can say this is a huge statewide issue, and you don't have to be CTA, right? A partisan in the conversation to have an opinion. The League is a very nonpartisan organization, and they just simply looked at why the way California does charter schools is very unfair. So I will share that, so people will have a chance to look at it.
So that's coming up, and we want you to subscribe and
that's right, and share out.
Share, and you hit the bell so that you
get notified when we publish.
Because we're not sure when we're coming back.
No.
We're going to come back as soon as
we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.